Thank you, Secretary. May we ask Senator Trillanes if he has further questions? Please address the chair.
Yes, Madam Chair. Well, first and foremost, the sincere apology extended to me by Secretary Aguirre is accepted, and I believe the Secretary has learned some lessons in this public episode, and I take his word that these incidents would not happen again. But Madam Chair, and also for that matter, yes, I also clearly remember the incidents he cited in relation to the Feliciano Commission. And well, to be honest, I used to look at him as an upright lawyer. But then again,
you're saying it in the past tense.
yes,
yeah.
but because people change and circumstances change, and the events which I cited have proven so. Now, this the first part, the personal, the name calling and insults part, I would concede have been addressed by the apology and the guarantee that such incidents would not happen again. But there are some issues that remain to be addressed regarding one, the Bucor memo, and if Secretary Aguirre claims that the contents thereof are all hearsay, then isn't it incumbent upon this commission and this committee in particular to dig deeper by calling on the pertinent public officials to clarify from them with certainty, definitively, whether or not these incidents have actually happened. And also, in relation to the claim that the contents of the Bucor memo, the Bucor memo are not reliable. But then again, the Bucor is under the DOJ, and isn't he supposed to presume regularity in every kind of public document that would be churned out by the agencies under him? Otherwise, if it's not going to believe every public document or official document that would be given to his office by agencies under him, then he would have a problem. He would have a trust issue with the people under him. Now, the Secretary Aguirre, the nominee, keeps on stating publicly that Wally Sombero, when he arrived from Canada, specifically cleared him from any complicity regarding the BI bribery scandal. But let me remind everyone that Wally Sombero is not in a position to clear anybody. He is a central figure in this whole mess, so we cannot possibly take the word of Mr. Wally Sombero at the moment until he proves during the committee hearing, which is scheduled tomorrow, by the way, that his statements would stand scrutiny by the members of the Blue Ribbon Committee. And that's why the hearing tomorrow is very crucial not only to ascertain the facts and circumstances surrounding the BI bribery scandal, but also in relation to this confirmation hearing, which is supposed to attest to the fitness of Mr. Aguirre for the position of DOJ Secretary. So, some issues remain addressed, Madam Chair, those two particular incidents. But one statement that really jumped from the explanation of Secretary Aguirre is when he said that he corrected the Inquirer when they said that criminals are not human, and what he actually said was criminals are not part of humanity, or some...
Madam Chair, I said criminals are not humanity.
Criminals are not humanity. Madam Chair, I am bothered by that statement, even corrected, because I believe members of this commission, some of my colleagues may tend to agree with that, and there's no
No one
particular
agrees with that because the Vice Chair and I agree that it is...
grammar aside, but the essence of the statement.
That is what the Vice Chair wishes me to state.
Well, that's
with the indulgence of Senator Trillanes, for my clarification, Madam Chair, may I be allowed? I want to be clarified on the meaning. Pag sinabi mong you cannot equate criminals to humanity, ang ibig mo bang sabihin hindi mo pwedeng itong grupo ng mga taong ito, mga kriminal ito, hindi mo pwedeng ikumpara sa humanity, sa mga tao na matitino? Ganun ang intindi ko sa statement. Is that the meaning of the statement, Madam Chair?
Can I just answer for Secretary Aguirre? I know what he means. It was probably said out of frustration, and what he refers to are the perpetrators of heinous crimes cannot be considered as one of us in the greater humanity. Or, di ba, Filipinos would say expressions, parang, grabe, hayop, or something like that. So that's what he means. It was a hyperbolic statement. So let's set that aside, whether I simply wanted to state that it seemed it was taken out of context or even not grammatically correct, but regardless, that is what he meant. I'm sure Secretary will agree.
Madam
It is
Chair,
not to be taken literally. It is figurative in nature. It is a hyperbolic statement brought out by the frustration to address the problems of criminality in this country. So let's move on, and I think yun na. Kasi pag himay-himayin natin ang statements.
Madam Chair,
yes.
just a brief rejoinder. While I tend to agree that we have our own interpretations about it, but we are elected officials or ordinary public officials. We are not the Secretary of Justice, because that statement smacks into the heart of his job as Secretary of Justice. That is a legal definition according to a Secretary of Justice. Now, the context is this. The Amnesty International report was stating, the response was in relation to the Amnesty International report about the mounting deaths in EJK. Now, the context was, they're basically saying they're okay to die because they're criminals. They could not be afforded human rights because they're not part of humanity. But here is the question. Are they criminals to begin with? They are not, because they never went through the due process as defined by the Constitution and by the courts. So that's why I am bothered. Politicians can utter those statements, but a Secretary of Justice cannot.
Yes, Senator Trillanes, thank you very much. I actually agree with you. And I also understand the point of our nominee. It was said out of frustration. It is not to be taken literally. It cannot be equated with an Amnesty International report. I do not think that it is a legal statement or something that could be taken the way it is. It was said out of frustration. It's a figurative statement, a hyperbolic statement, if there is such a word. With that, we move on. We take note of your opposition. Your suggestions will be taken up by the Commission on Appointments in an executive session later. In the meantime, we would like to address the previous question in last week's hearing, 2 weeks ago, where Senator Lacson had the floor, stated his motion for the confirmation. So may we just hear Senator Lacson, if Senator Trillanes is done with his opposition. I take note of that. If I were in your place, I actually agree with you. If that is a clear statement, the position of a Secretary of Justice, that there is no more due process and they're all, but I assure you, as a Secretary has assured me in private, that was out of righteous indignation and frustration. It is not a position of the DOJ.
But Madam Chair,
yes.
8,000 people already died. And the DOJ has yet to investigate a single one of those deaths. So it is in fact consistent with that statement that they're not part of humanity. That's why they cannot be afforded due process by the courts. So, and Madam Chair, I'm not debating with you. In fact,
no,
I
in fact, I am allowing you to
Yes.
speak because the majority leader keeps on badgering in my ears to close your microphone and for you not to speak. I said he is a colleague, he's a friend. I'm allowing him to speak. He keeps on telling me he is debating with you. I said no, I am letting you speak because I want to listen to you, because I agree with you that yes, the deaths must be investigated. That is the reason why the chair and the commission is passionate and convinced that we must already confirm the Secretary of Justice so that all these deaths must be investigated. And yes, I just want to focus. I agree with you, Senator Trillanes, that the deaths must be investigated. I am equally, if not more, bothered by it. And so that is the reason why I want the Secretary, and I will ask him for all the hard work we're doing for him here, to please give an impartial, transparent investigation of all these deaths, whether drug-related or perceived or alleged to be extrajudicial. You owe it to the Filipino people, and we who have passed him or will pass him in the Commission on Appointments, if we will, owe it to the people. So I feel for you, Senator Trillanes. I understand where you're coming from, and I share your concerns for those deaths which are unexplained. So with that,
Madam Chair, before we act on the motion,
yes, thank you.
I would like to echo exactly what the chairman said about the need for the DOJ to pursue all these open cases of people killed. As I said last week, I have many people killed in my district, although I know that there seems to be this trend of just killing people because they're drug pushers or addicts, but the DOJ has to do something. We can't allow this to just happen that way and to continue happening this way. Somebody, it's got to be the DOJ and the people behind, underneath you, to pursue this to a logical ending. We should find the people, the perpetrators, whether they're policemen or people posing as policemen, riding on this tide of EJK. And I thank the chairman for propounding the very thoughts of many people regarding this matter. Thank you, Madam Chair.